Welcome to A1R Psychic Radio here on Moonstruck TV with Amanda Hall, psychic all the way from the Gold Coast. Hope you're having an absolutely fantastic week wherever you are in this planet of ours. It's been an interesting week, hasn't it, with lots of flooding and different earth events, and we've got bushfires here in Australia, and look, my heart goes out to the people that have lost people during these terrible weather events, these terrible tragedies that seem to be happening all too frequently now. These once in 100-year floods that are happening 4 times in 10 years and just things like that. You've got to ask the question, is there something to this global warming? I mean, I've been banging on about it for years, but I mean, people that I've watched over the years, particularly in the media, that have been against global warming, saying it's all a fairy tale, it's there to make us spend money or whatever, are slowly starting to see that maybe, just maybe, there's something in this, that all these weather events that keep happening and all these tragedies around the world, they're not just a coincidence. They're not just happening, once in a blue moon, so to speak. They are happening more and more frequently. And the bigger tragedy, besides us losing lives and losing people's livelihoods and their lives and where they live and the things that are normal to them, we're starting to see a shift with insurance companies and things like that now no longer going to cover people for such events. And I think that's a big tragedy as well, because people take out insurance in good faith hoping they'll never need to use it, and now they're not going to be able to afford to jump over it to insure their possessions and their homes and things like that. So let's hope this week we can have some better news in the world, that people are going to have a smile on their face for a change and things are going to improve. So the Simply Tarot card of the week this week is the Fool. Now, the Fool is good friends and happiness. It's also taking a giant leap forward. Now, under no circumstances does this card mean you're a fool. It just means it's time for us to look to the horizons and maybe take some giant leaps forward. Maybe it's time to sort of get your hat on that says, I can do anything. Like when we were children, a lot of people, particularly not just the boys, but the girls too, put a cape on around their neck or a towel out of the linen press and said, I'm a superhero. Well, maybe it's time for us to all be a superhero this week, and help our good friends and take those giant leaps forward and really start to look at the future and sort of say, I have everything that I need. Now I'm in a prime position that I can sort of catapult myself forward, whether that's I want a new job or I need a raise, or maybe I just want to be a better person. And I think all of the above is appropriate. It's a matter of how it fits in with your life and what you're hoping to do this week. But don't forget, remember, we are who we are, and we are made stronger by having a handful of good friends and close family members around us that support us through thick and thin, that support us through the good times as well as the not so good times. And it's time now for us to repay some of that kindness, I think. And that's why I like to sort of look at this card as being able to help our friends take that giant leap forward as well as ourselves. It's a really positive, uplifting card, and I think we could do with a little bit more positivity in the world right now. It's been a difficult couple of years, hasn't it? I mean, before COVID, we were sort of sailing along nicely, sort of talking about global warming, and then COVID hit, and then everything sort of changed. And I don't know that we've really totally recovered from that, marker in time and that event that we all lived through, and it changed each and every one of us for the better, hopefully. And now is the time that we really do appreciate our good friends and what they bring to our lives and the happiness that they bring to us, in a way that we are able to now look at things like that we don't take it for granted anymore. So this week astrologically is actually quite a quiet week. Yes, we've still got a number of planets going retrograde until the end of the year, and I've already just discussed those on a couple of shows back. So this week I want to focus on what's actually happening just this week, the things that jump out at me in the charts before I do the show. The sun is still in Virgo. It's in its last degrees of Virgo, so happy birthday to all the Virgos. It's an interesting time of the year because no matter what your star sign is, it's telling us or asking us to have a look at our diet, our health, and our lifestyle. So for a lot of people, the word diet means deprivation, that they think, oh my goodness, I can't have anything, or I'm going to be going without. Diet doesn't actually mean that. It means looking at what foods we're putting into our mouths. It's just that we've put this negative connotation on it, that diet means deprivation. It's about making some healthy choices, looking at things that fuel the body, that make us feel well, that make our skin and hair look good, and those sort of things. It's not necessarily about cutting everything out. A very wise lady, my nan, told me once upon a time that a little bit of everything in moderation is good for you. And I've always tried to live by that rule. Yes, you can have a little bit of something that you take your fancy, but make sure you eat your fruit and vegetables and get plenty of water and plenty of sleep. And it really does show on your skin. So for, the Virgos at the moment, they are going through some massive changes at the moment. I have a number of Virgo clients who've been really questioning, more so this year in their birthday time than I've ever known before, that where they're going, where their lives are heading, and are they really finally on the right track? I think they've had a number of years now to contemplate some of the changes that they might have wanted to bring into their lives, and now it sort of almost feels urgent for them that they do need to make some changes, and that's not a bad thing. So the Virgo energy, as I said, another few days, and then the sun shifts into the next sign of Libra. So, enjoy the time while the sun's in Virgo, and we can all sort of slow down a little bit and have the time to sort of do a little bit of deep thinking and clear out our mind a little bit and get ourselves refocused as we head towards the pointy end of the year. The end of the year is looming quite quickly. So we have Venus, the planet of love and affection, is sitting in Leo at the moment. Now, Venus likes actually being in Leo. Even though it doesn't rule Leo, it enjoys being there because it likes to get out there and strut its stuff and sort of say, isn't the world a magical place? And sort of really enjoys the energy of the Leo energy, which is, out there, really sort of wanting to show off a little bit, be on center stage. So Venus doesn't feel uncomfortable here at all. Venus is making a lovely aspect, which is known as a sextile, which means it's two signs away to the planet Mars in Libra. Now, Mars is the planet of action. It's a planet that makes us get out of bed. It gives us our drive, our determination. Even our ego comes from Mars, I believe. So with Mars sitting in Libra at the moment, it's sort of asking us to try and bring our lives into more of a balance. It's sort of saying, search for the truth. Try and bring things into balance. Yes, it can be, a time of great excitement and activity and, dashing here, there, and dashing from one thing to another. But it's also asking us, if we are going to bring more love into our lives, or we're searching for a new love interest, make sure that it's not just a shiny new object. Make sure that it's really the type of relationship that you want. Sometimes here with a sextile like this, where Venus is in Leo, we can attract somebody new in our lives as a love interest, and all as we're seeing is the performance that they're putting on, a great stage production for our benefit, and we tend to sort of fall very quickly during these sort of cycles. And when the shiny new performance wears off, we think, why did I fall in love with you? I don't think you're the sort of person that I really want in my life. So if somebody new crosses your path, and somebody that's of a love interest crosses your path over the next couple of weeks, just make sure that you take the blindfold off. Make sure that you have a really good, long, hard look. And, don't just see the shiny new toy or the shiny new relationship. Look a little bit deeper and sort of ask yourself, is this the type of relationship I want in my life, or friendship in my life moving forward? There's nothing wrong with having somebody that's fun to be around, or somebody that makes you smile. Just make sure that it's in the right way and it's something that's sustainable and something that can always bring a smile to your face, not somebody just putting on a performance, and when the curtain goes down goes that energy that you were so attracted to. So we also have Jupiter, the planet of luck and opportunity, is sitting in Taurus at the moment. Now, Jupiter in Taurus brings a sort of a stabilizing factor here, because of sitting in Taurus, Jupiter wants to expand everything and wants to go overboard, go big or go home sort of thing, is the Jupiter sort of mantra. But here in Taurus, Taurus is sort of saying, you can do things slowly, gently, deliberately. We can gain some really good traction here. Yes, you can go big, but you can do it in a very dynamic sort of way that's slow, deliberate, and definite, that will be sustainable over the longer period of time. So in a sense, Jupiter's being asked to sort of slow down a little bit here and make sure that the opportunities and the expansion that's coming your way, particularly for Tauruses, Virgos, Capricorns, and Scorpios, is sustainable. Now, not everything that we try and bring about in our lives is sustainable. With Jupiter here, it's making an uncomfortable aspect to Mars in Libra, which is known as an inconjunct. Now, an inconjunct means it's sort of like they're at loggerheads. They don't feel comfortable. It's like they're on opposing teams. They're not seeing things the same way. They're certainly not singing from the same hymn sheet. Where Mars is sitting in Libra, which is trying to bring everything into balance, trying to get to the truth in the matter, with Jupiter here in conjunct, Jupiter's sort of saying, let's go out and party, let's do this, let's do that, let's do it on a big, bold, bombastic sort of scale. And Mars is sort of saying, hang on a minute, this is maybe not quite the way it should be. Maybe you're not seeing things clearly. Maybe you're not telling the truth. Maybe you're not prepared to take the blinkers off and have a really good, long, hard look at the situation. There's a little bit of tug of war here, push and shove, and, trying to get each person's point across without really listening to the other one. So if you are a Libra, an Aquarian, Gemini, or also a Leo, an Aries, I'd be very, very careful at some of the choices that you're making at the moment, because Mars is asking you here to make sure that you fully understand what is in front of you. Don't get your bombastic hat on again and say, I know everything and everybody else is wrong. Listen to what's being said. You may just sort of still go blindly down the path that you've set for yourself because you don't want to listen to other people. So this inconjunct here is actually very, very important. So if you're Jupiter, and you're in, your Jupiter's in Taurus, so that rules, as we said before, Virgo, Capricorn, and also Scorpio, you need to be aware of this energy, as well as the Librians, the Aquarians, and the Geminis, and the Leos. So really, really important here. Don't miss this opportunity that, Jupiter can bring the opportunities, can bring the expansion, the opportunities towards you. You need to make sure that they fit, that you've delved into all the fine details, that you haven't missed anything. If that's the case, if you've done your due diligence and you've done your homework, then there's no reason why these projects can't move forward. There may just be a slight delay there. We have Pluto in the final stages of being in Capricorn, been there for a very long time, since 2008. Now, in this final months of Pluto being in Capricorn, which he will be there till the early part of 2024, this is when we're going to see a lot more things come out into the open. Anything that's been hidden, whether it's on a government or an official level, that has been hidden or been trying to be hidden. And a lot of times people deliberately try and hide things or try and hide the truth because it doesn't suit them for it to come to the surface. Pluto will bring it out to the surface. Pluto will bring it out, and maybe the consequences that go with this, of your actions of trying to be deceitful or be naughty, will have very serious consequences. So it's not the time to do anything wrong. It's not the time to try and deceive somebody, whether you're a mere mortal or whether you're somebody in the public eye or in government. It's not the time to do the wrong thing, because you will be caught out and the consequences will be quite dire. So if you've got anything that you maybe need to make amends more, doesn't matter what your star sign is, if you've done something wrong or you've tried to hide something from somebody or try and take something from somebody, now's the time to come clean, cop your punishment and move forward. Because let me assure you, if Pluto catches up with you, it will not be pleasant. It will be far worse than you owning up to your mistakes or the things that you did and the reasons why now, rather than leave it to chance, because Pluto is not leaving any stone unturned before he moves into Aquarius for a number of years. We also have Neptune, the planet of illusion, delusion, but also creativity, is still sitting in Pisces, and Neptune feels very much at home here because he rules Pisces. So it's interesting because lots of Pisces friends I have are really sort of basking in the glory of Neptune sitting in Pisces at the moment. They're really reveling in it and enjoying it. They feel their creativity has never been higher. They're really sort of feeling very, very comfortable in their own skin. And I'm seeing a lot of them become a lot more confident in themselves. It's not that they're running around beating the drum saying, I am the greatest, but you can just see the confidence oozing from them. It's sort of like finally they feel as if something's going their way. Finally, they feel as if they really are comfortable with where their lives are heading and their life is heading. So it's good. And it's really easy to sort of turn around and say, oh, well, that's just for Pisces. But it's not. It's for all the water signs. It's for Cancer. It's for Scorpio. And it's also for the opposite sign of Virgo too. But most importantly, it's for Pisces people. Saturn is still sitting in Pisces as well. So Saturn's bringing that disciplinary factor there, that's bringing that stability factor that I think is very much needed here with Neptune. It's sort of like they're holding hands and they're really enjoying being in each other's company, and both have got a very important role to play, but it's bringing that discipline factor to the creativity, because sometimes, too much creativity, we don't have any grounding, we don't have any purpose of, or urgency to sort of bring it to fruition. It's just there. Well, Saturn's bringing that to the table, saying, okay, here's the structure, here's the urgency. Now let's formulate a plan to make it all happen for us. So we're going to talk with Haley in Orange City in Florida. Are you there, Haley?
Yes.
Do you have a question I can answer for you today, Haley?
Well, I received a thing on Facebook to see if I can get a mediumship reading.
A medium reading is we have such a limited time on the show, sweetie. I'd prefer to answer a direct question for you. If somebody wants to chime in from the other side, I will certainly give you any messages that come through from the other side. Do you have a question I can work with?
I don't know what kind of question I would
Well,
have.
there must be something, there must be a reason why you wanted a reading, sweetie. Is it about your love life? Is it about your job? Should I move? There's usually a reason why you phone into the show to get a reading.
No, ma'am. I just wanted, my boyfriend passed away earlier this year,
Right.
and I thought I could get a medium reading.
Okay, sweetie. Look, I'm sorry to hear that your boyfriend passed away earlier this year. I'm sure that was a hell of a shock to you. Was this something that was quite sudden? Was it something that was unexpected?
Yes.
Yeah, because that's what they were sharing with me. I'm not necessarily saying that I've got him on the direct dial telephone, but what the information that was being shared with me psychically was it was very sudden. I don't think he's still sort of come to terms with the fact that he's gone, and there's nothing that you can do about that. You just have to believe that in time that he will come to terms with the fact that he has gone. It is because it was such a shock to him and it was so unexpected. Not everybody is comfortable when they go through to the other side in such sudden circumstances. Do they adjust to being there quickly? Now, the most important thing that he's sharing with you is the fact that he keeps saying to me, I'm sorry. And I don't understand what that means, because yes, look, I can relate that to him. So he's sorry that he's gone and he's left you behind, but I felt there was something more to that. Was there something, did you just have a disagreement or something, Haley? Is there something that he should be sorry for, something that's left undone?
I mean, we definitely had a lot of ups and downs, and
right.
Yeah, he left behind a family. We have 2 kids together.
Right. Yeah, because that's all he's sharing with me is, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. As if, yeah, look, that would make sense if he's left you and the children behind. Of course he's sorry, and he's probably sorry for some of the things that he said and did, and he didn't mean them, and but that's part of life, sweetheart. Look, I can assure you that he's around you and the children all the time. The most important thing you've got to do is try and get on with your life the best way that you can. That will sort of help him, I think, calm down on the other side, that he can't come back. It's a tragedy that he's gone. It's a tragedy for the children. But your role now is to try and make life as normal as possible for you and the children. And that's not an easy thing when you're a young mum with children to raise, and, they have particular questions, and, things don't always seem easy. I can speak from experience. I was widowed at a very young age, and I know what it's like to have young children. To ask some difficult sort of questions. If I can share one thing with you, be as open and as honest as you can for their age group. Don't hide anything. Set up some things that become familiar to them. Set up the things that are going to be important for your family. For us, it was always, we kept the tradition alive of a Christmas tree that touched the roof because that's what their dad did. We always had a little birthday party for him on his birthday, even though he wasn't with us. We had a table set with a place for him and a party hat, and we made a big deal of it. My children are well and truly grown up now, but they often share with me that that helped them come to terms with the loss of their dad when, all their friends had dads and they didn't. So, he's always going to be around you. He's not somebody that's going to leave you, but what he wants you to do now is to get on with your life the best way that you can. And he keeps telling me he's sorry. I don't quite understand that, but that's what he keeps sharing with me. I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. So only you know what that means. But know that he loves you. And I don't think it's going to take too long for him now to settle on the other side now that he's been able to come through to you, Hayley. My heart goes out to you and the children, sweetie. We're going to talk with Enid now in Belleville, New Jersey. Are you there, Enid, in Belleville?
Yeah, yes, I am.
Do you have a question I can answer for you, Enid?
Yes, I'm going through chapter 7, and I wanted to know if it's going to go through successfully.
Yeah, I feel it will, but the first thing that was showing me as you were speaking to me, Enid, was this has been a long, hard road to get here, hasn't it? It's something that you've really had to put a lot of effort into. And it's like I can finally say once you come out the other side of this and everything's as it should be, you're going to go, oh, thank goodness, it really took a lot of my effort, my time, it was
it's
really
affecting my health.
Yeah,
It's affecting my health.
and yeah, but you are coming out the other side, and everything is going to be good. But it's like I feel also now that you're going to be looking at life through a different sort of lens. It's like you're not taking things for granted anymore. All of a sudden now things that maybe weren't as important once upon a time are now going to step up to be more important. And other things that you felt that, well, I don't need to have that in my life anymore, you're going to move that along as well. So it's sort of, I want to explain it as an exciting period moving forward because I think you're going to simplify things, but at the same time, it's like you're absorbing so much more and you're becoming a fuller person. And I don't mean fuller in body weight, I mean fuller in soul, that you now have a balance in your life that I don't think you had before, Enid, if that makes any sense.
It does.
Are you planning on making a move of residence or are you just making changes around where you're living?
No, not at the moment.
But have you just changed something? Because they're showing me change around where you're living, and I didn't quite know how to tie that in with what you've been going through.
I mean, if it happens, but it's not planned.
Yeah, no, I don't necessarily mean there's got to be a move of residence. I'm just saying they're saying you're changing something. Sometimes when we've had such a big upheaval in our lives, we go out and buy ourselves a little treat, like we go and buy a new couch or a new kitchen table or something like that. It was something like that to me. It was sort of like something that you were going to turn around and say, I deserve that. I'm going to have that. Yet it wasn't something that was absolutely necessary. It was more like a fancy or you walk past a shop and think, gee, I like that couch. I think I'll buy it. But you had no intentions of going to buy it. There's something like that coming before the end of the year. But everything is sort of moving forward now, Enid, and it's good. So whatever changes you've made physical-wise towards your health, I want you to keep going because you're certainly on the right path with that. Everything about you is starting to sparkle, and that's good because you've been through an awful lot.
Yes.
So 2024, hopefully for you, and I'm saying hopefully, will be a much calmer year. Like it's sort of like I'm going to glide into 2024 with not a lot on my plate, but I'll just, I'll take things as they come along, but sort of I'm feeling more optimistic. I'm feeling more positive about whatever life throws at me. I can handle it easily now and sort of just keep moving forward. And I feel that's very much the case, which is good. So did you find during this time that your instincts started to become much more heightened, like you knew things before they actually happened?
Yeah.
That will still be there, Enid, but it's not going to be maybe quite as obvious because it's becoming more second nature to you, like it's just automatic now. It's not where before it was like, oh, wow, gee, that was amazing. It's not going to be quite that intense. It's part of who you've become, which is good. So, I think you're a real inspiration to a lot of people around you, Enid. So that's where we're going to leave
Thank
Enid.
you.
It's she's been through her trials and tribulations, as many people have, and we're coming close to the end of the show, but I just want to take a few minutes to sort of to retouch again on Haley's reading, where the fact that it's always very difficult when someone young loses a partner, and particularly when they leave behind small children, that you don't know how to handle things like this, that there's no rule book that says this is how you deal with grief at a young age, or how you help little people through their grief. And I think a lot of people tend to think children don't feel the grief as grown-ups do. They certainly do, and they feel it in a way that's probably more raw, more intense than us grown-ups do, because we've got some sort of logic, we've got some sort of life experience that helps us understand what we're going through. We might not be happy about it, and we might be very sad and, feel like our heart's broken and that we're never going to smile again and all those sort of things. But for little people, they don't see it quite that way. They see it, well, okay, dad or mum or grandma or whoever it might be is gone. And a lot of times under the age of 7 or 8, they still see them in sort of presence form. They come down, they play with them, they spend time with them. And us adults sort of tend to think that that can't be right, that it's a child's vivid imagination. No, they really do see spirit up till about the age of 8. And then their logical part of their brain kicks in, and they no longer see them quite that way anymore, or have that same feeling or sense of seeing grandma or grandpa or whoever it might be playing with them. So don't dismiss a child's sort of way of coping with grief. Everybody has a different way of doing things, and it's really important that we understand that. So this week I want to leave you with a song that I think is a beautiful old song. It's a song that is very appropriate, I think, for this show. And it's a song that I don't know whether this band ever had another hit. This is the only one that I know of that they had, and it was one that was one of my favourites when I was growing up. And it's by the Five Man Electric Band, and the song is called Signs. And, everywhere a sign. Everywhere you look, there is signs in our lives, and we get them every single day. So it's a matter of understanding what your personal particular signs are trying to share with you. What might be right for you is not necessarily right for the next person. So please be aware, take notice of what your signs are. It was a big hit in the US in the 80s, as it was here in Australia, that song. And they made a song called Tesla in the 80s. So I'll have to look that one up. Okay, I'm going to have to look that up after the show, but it's a really, really appropriate song for this show. So until next week, Sings by Tesla, a remake. Oh, okay, Tesla made a remake of the song. So either version I'm sure is good, but I like the original one. And I'm going to look that song up after the show. Until next week, check out your signs and have a great week. Bye for now.